him 3 or 4 times. Her words, not mine. That depends. Okay? Let me give you an analogy. 20 years ago, a guy was 22 years old, and he was stupid, and he robbed the convenience store next door. Okay? And he got caught, and he went to trial, and he got sentenced to prison, and he did 20 years. Now he's gotten out of prison. Is he still a criminal? Is he still a bad guy? Not necessarily. Okay? Let's say he got out of prison 10 years ago. So for his 10 years in prison, he was going to church meetings. He got a high school diploma while he was in prison. And he got a college degree while he was in prison, which, folks, happens all the time. Happens all the time. Now he's been out of prison for 10 years, and he's been working at whatever. He's been employed for the last 10 years at the same business since he got out of prison. Is he still a bad guy? No, he's not. He's rehabilitated, correct? And we like to use that term in society, rehabilitated. All right. I can tell you that in 2005, 17 years ago, I was demoted from sergeant. And that newspaper article was posted again a couple days ago, and it was posted previous to that again about 4 months ago when I started running for office for this position. Why was that posted? To try to discredit me. Okay? I was demoted from sergeant. I went back to patrol. I was banished to graveyard for 1.5 years. I retested to be a detective again, and I placed #1 on the list. And I went into a detective position, and I worked in that detective position and excelled in that detective position for another 15 years. And now I retired honorably, and I've been working here and excelling in my position here for the last 8 years. Are you going to hold me responsible still for that 17 years ago? Or are you going to say he changed? He learned from his mistake. Pardon me? I'm rehabilitated, right? So, again,
On the job, successive,
okay.
not rehabilitated. Let's put it back.
You and I are on the same page here, and I'm trying not to use names. Okay?
Isn't in politics, isn't it better to be the first person who's saying, you know, I screwed up. I went around my underwear when I was 6 years old. You know, my opponent's going to put this in the newspaper. Wouldn't that be the first?
Sometimes it is better. Sometimes it is better to get out in front of something. Sometimes it's better to hope that it doesn't ever come out. But God forbid, when it does come out, you got hell to pay, right? If it's that kind of thing that you don't want it to come out, it's going to come out. Okay.
But then there's
So,
something
yes.
we said for the Queen Elizabeth, my love. Never complain, never explain.
Let me come back to here. If you don't change your ways, no, I'm not going to promote you 3 or 4 times. Okay? If you don't learn from your mistakes, no, I am not going to promote you. If you don't learn from your mistakes, I'm going to continue. When you make other mistakes, I'm going to continue to discipline you. And there is this principle of progressive discipline. And our department exercises that. At some point in time, you become eligible to be terminated for a minor violation. Eligible doesn't necessarily mean that we do it. But at some point in time, it could happen. If a person doesn't learn from their mistakes, what are we doing? Okay, what are we doing? It's like traffic enforcement. Unless you learn from getting a ticket. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect. Okay? But we need to address the situation when the situation comes up. And that is one of the things, if you look in the pamphlet that y'all have, there will be no preferential treatment under my administration. Okay? Since we're on the same page, he is more than welcome to stay under my administration, under my philosophy and my rules. I can't walk in on January 1st of 2023 and fire him. You and I are talking about the same person, are we? I can't walk in and fire a deputy, a sergeant, a lieutenant, a captain.
Why not? He's not union.
Yes, they are.
They're union.
Everybody below the rank of undersheriff or assistant sheriff is union.
Will they go on a union strike?
No, we have no strike clause.
Oh, good.
We have no strike clause. So I cannot just at will fire an individual. So I don't have any intention of it. And honestly, I'm going to welcome everybody with open arms. Whether they're my opponent right now, whether they're opposed to me and vote for someone else. I'm going, and if they come up to me and say, Joe, I didn't vote for you. I don't like you. Hey, cool. Maybe my wife won't vote for me. I don't know. She might not. You can't please everybody every day. I'm going to welcome everyone with open arms until the time comes that we need to do something different. And then I'll address that. It will have nothing to do with the fact that you came to me and said, Joe, I didn't vote for you. I don't like you. You gotta work under my philosophy. It doesn't mean I'm going to be a dictator. It doesn't mean that I'm going to slam the hammer down. But this department will run under the way I want it run. Okay?
You've talked a lot about the difficulties. This is not an easy situation. This is not an easy job.
No, it's
There's a
not.
lot of talent. So my question to you is, why do you want to do this? Why do you feel compelled to do this, to run?
Because you are not receiving the law enforcement services that you deserve. And because the department is not being run and treated the way they should be run and treated. Okay? If we continue losing deputies, what are we going to have left? We have one deputy right now that has, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, 8 years in this department. Bought a new house about 5 months ago in Artesia. Got married about 2 months ago. His wife works in the detention center here, the jail, Lehigh County Jail. And he is looking at another department. 2 departments, actually, he's applied to. And my wife and I, by the way, my wife is over there on the other side of the room, Tammy.
Hi, Tammy.
My wife and I have asked him, please wait until after the election. And he keeps telling us, I'm afraid they might fire me before then. Because we never know what we're gonna get. And trust me, who's been here in this town more than 20 years? Nobody? One. Okay, the last two, three more. The last three presidential, the last three sheriff elections in Nye County, the opponent to the incumbent in the last three sheriff's elections, an opponent has been arrested for something. Do you think I've got bail money saved up?
Don't leave home without it.
Don't leave home without it. Absolutely.
You're all speaking up to the lawyer.
Yeah, yes.
This is a hypothetical.
Okay, hypothetically.
How would you handle an officer who left their service weapon in a casino bathroom, not once, but twice, obviously 9 times?
There are policies in place that would dictate the way that's going to be handled. Okay? We have what's called the disciplinary matrix. And there are certain violations and infractions of discipline, of procedure, of policy that are spelled out that on a first offense it cannot be anything more than a written reprimand, a 20-hour suspension. Okay, there's a maximum prison sentence type thing. And it needs to be addressed that way because that's fair. So I'll go into the policy and the disciplinary matrix and say, this violation, this level of discipline, sign here. Okay, something to that extent has got to be addressed so that it doesn't happen again. Folks, when I say I'm gonna talk to people and say, you screwed up, yeah, you're right, I screwed up, okay, good, let's never let it happen again. I'm talking very minor things, people, I really am. I'm not saying I'm gonna be laissez-faire. I'm not gonna let everybody run rampant. It's not gonna happen. I can't let that happen because you all are not going to allow me to allow that to happen. You're my constituents. You're my boss. When you start putting my name in the newspaper and on Facebook about stuff that happened that you're not happy the way it turned out, there's going to be times when I'm not going to be able to make everybody happy every day. But when I start covering stuff up and when I start failing to discipline, that's when I'm going to be in trouble. Because you're not going to let me get away with it, are you? So how would I handle it? I would handle it. I wouldn't cover it up. I wouldn't sweep it under the rug. There's too much at stake. Yes, Jim, right?
Yeah, Joe, under that same situation that the gentleman was speaking of, I saw the article in the paper after that, and it told what happened, that she left it the officer left it in the restroom.
On the toilet paper roll.
Yeah. It told all of that, but I kept waiting to hear what was going to happen now. And you know what I heard? A quote from her, the officer, said, everybody makes mistakes. And I never heard or saw anything of it beyond that.
Well, let me give you a little bit of procedural. That person does not have a boss. That person answers to the county commissioners. That person cannot be disciplined in the same ways that I can be disciplined. okay? So to say that that person should have received a written reprimand or should have received a 20-hour suspension or should have been terminated for leaving their gun in the restroom, who's to say that? When you make the rules, you break the rules, right? Okay.
The same commissioner that we talked about earlier, that I drive by his house regularly on my routine business, daily business, and I see a brand new car sitting in his driveway with the Nye County sticker on the side, and rarely gets washed or moved. That we could be using that car to be the same commissioner that I need to talk to say, hey, what's going on?
I don't know what the criteria are that they're allowed or supposed to use the county car. I think that they're allowed to use it anytime they want. And I know who you're talking about. No, he doesn't drive his car very often. I usually see him in a Suburban. Why, I don't know. Now, back to leaving the gun in the restroom. Folks, let's be real here. It happens, okay? It happens. I've seen it happen before this, and it will happen again.
Well, let's be real.
I'm not saying that individual, I'm saying in law enforcement, people wearing a gun, carrying a gun every day, it happens.
Let's be real here. If I have a gun and it falls out of my silo and somebody picks it up and commits a crime, that person is going to be responsible, and they're going to go after me.
You're right, absolutely.
Why don't they go after the sheriff?
Because there's only one way to do that, is through an ethics, two ways. An ethics complaint, which the ethics commission wouldn't consider that an ethics complaint.
So if I get charged with it, I can go after them.
Or to do a recall election. And that's gonna take millions. Now let's talk about something, now that I brought that up, let's talk about something. Okay. Let's assume, worst case scenario, I don't win this election. Right? Okay. Okay. I have to use the name. Hypothetically, Sharon Worley wins this election. I wish the woman well. I honestly do. She's ill. I don't like to speak ill of, I don't like to make light of that, the fact that she is extremely ill. But she can't make light of that fact either. Let's say after the election, 6 months from now, so we're talking June of 2023, she, for whatever reason, can't fulfill her obligation as the sheriff. Whether it be because she becomes so ill or dies. Okay? Now what do? Does anybody know the procedure? What happens?
The undersheriff?
No, it doesn't go to the undersheriff. They'll appoint the county commission will appoint the undersheriff interim, but now what happens 6 months after the election when she took office? Y'all have to pay for a special election. We're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars for a special election to take place. 2 years down the road, that happens. Same thing, special election. 3 years down the road, that happens. What happens? The county commission appoints a new sheriff. It might be the undersheriff. It might not be. If it's not the undersheriff, more than likely, who is the county commission going to appoint to be the new sheriff? One of the county commissioner's brother, or cousin, or husband. What's the routine in this county? Nepotism. Correct. The Nye County Animal Shelter is about to be run by the county. And the manager of the Nye County Animal Shelter is going to be a family member of a county commissioner. So, think about the consequences, the potential consequences of your vote for this sheriff's race. If you choose to vote for Sharon Worley, just think about the potential consequences of that. Let's talk about the other candidates. Somebody give me a name. Eric Murphy. Eric Murphy is a lieutenant on the department. He's lived here all his life. I think he said in the debate the other night he's been on the department for 17 years, I believe is what he said. He's currently a lieutenant. A lieutenant is, for lack of a better term, administration, as we said earlier, correct? Or as I said earlier. And who is the cause of the problems that we're seeing right now in the Nye County Sheriff's Department? The administration. Okay? So, do I expect anything to change much if Eric Murphy were to win? I don't. I like Eric, he's been a friend of mine for a long time, but I don't expect a lot to change. Next name. Diane. I'm waiting for information to come from Illinois that I requested the other day. And I think that response is going to be that she is unquestionable, unqualified to run for sheriff in Nye County. I do not believe, honestly, I do not believe from talking to her that she's ever been a cop. Maybe she's been employed by a law enforcement agency, but I do not believe she's ever been a cop. Give me another name. Jose Parra. Okay. I think in the debate the other night he said he's got 9 years on the department, 10 years, 11 years, something like that. He's been a patrol deputy, he's been a detective. Give me another name. That's all there is. That's all there is, right. But notice how I gave Jose's resume.
Yes.
And notice how I gave my resume. 34 years. 11 years. Multiple specialized detective assignments. A detective. I like Jose. I do. He's a good kid. But in my opinion, he doesn't have the answer.
Thank you.